Okay, so Nej and Pippa Blair, co-presidents of Routine. I love that. You probably don't even think about yourselves like that on a day-to-day basis. Like, can you tell us, I just want to go right into it, what does a day-to-day look like in your lives and how you share responsibilities at Routine?
Oh, every day is so different. How do you get into that?
Well, first I wake up and then I hug my dog, just like everybody else. No, I guess the biggest struggle, well, we both have kids. So right now, Pippa's kids are going to school for the first time. So that's all part of the new routine. And then I struggle to get to work as early as possible because, I don't know, I feel like I have to be here now that we've built this space.
Right.
How about you?
Yeah, I feel like a typical day now for me, but it's coming in here and it's like usually when I walk in the door, it's like checking in with each person and having a lot of conversations, whereas it didn't used to be like that. Like I used to just have this task list that I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to get done today, plow through it. We're learning to become a lot more of leaders within our role as our company grows. Right. And that's really shifted the way it is. So it means I do a lot of my task list at night. Like that's when I get the chance to check my email and everything. But it's a lot of sort of just working with all the people, all the sort of managers that we have within the company. And so it's a lot of sort of facilitation now and a lot more meetings than we used to have.
Right. And that transition, I think a lot of people that run companies that start them themselves and have done a lot of the work themselves, that transition, it's almost like, when does that start? So how did you sort of know it was time to maybe hire or maybe start to do more of a leadership role than a functional role? Like, how did you know when that time was? What went off in your minds to say, now is the time to start to delegate?
When we just couldn't do it ourselves anymore, I think. And Pippa we have very different roles. So mine has been more on the creative side and hers has been more administrative side. So she's had a couple people help her with her lists. And then recently, it's more recent for me. Like I have she's got 2 people that she mainly talks to every day, and so do I. So every morning I come in, same thing, say hi to everyone, make sure everyone's doing well. I'm kind of more of the office mom, I guess. So I make sure everyone's got, what they need and is warm, except for I didn't make you warm. I'm sorry. I was trying to make it quiet for the podcast. That blowing air. So our roles are totally they're just kind of intuitive is our roles. So, mine's more right-brained and hers is more left-brained.
Okay. Yeah. So that sort of speaks to also some of the other passions that you've had. It wasn't like you always spent your whole career in botanicals and natural products, right?
You're looking at Pippa.
I didn't, but she did.
But you did,
Her life was always around.
And so tell us about how you brought those together.
You weren't always doing that and now you're doing that. Now you're not doing that. I just thought that he thought that you were living in a botanical garden.
No. I feel like I'm in a botanical garden right now. I love that. No, well, you were a labor and delivery nurse, and you're a musician.
She was a labor and delivery nurse. Sorry, I can't talk. During this
when
process,
we started,
though,
she's talk
but not
about
even when
how did that all come
learning
together?
To be one.
Yeah, the day we started, pretty much.
Yeah, the day we started, she started school. So she's So
Nej invented this formula 15 years now ago or something?
When I was
I'm wearing it right now. I'm wearing my Superstar.
Awesome.
It's amazing. Even when I'm wearing gold metallic, it still doesn't, I don't even sweat. I feel like I'm sweating.
Your outfit is the Superstar box.
It is.
You are Superstar.
Really?
Yeah. Your glasses.
Gold and black? Let's do that.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Uniform.
but I was living in a world where I didn't use a single natural product when I was about, I don't know, 22, 23 or something. And Nej,
ironically, though, she did grow up on Salt Spring Island. So
yes.
Which is at the heart of it, right?
So I don't use a lot of products, but natural was not sort of my focus. But then Nej gave me this tub of deodorant, and it was the very first natural product that I ever used. And it was holy cow, you've got me on a natural product and I wasn't even thinking about this. Right. And now I'm completely off of any Secret Dove conventional product because she had just been working on this for years and years without knowing what it was going to become.
Yeah, sort of I guess collecting skills and like it just happened to be that the vessel was a deodorant. So that's kind of what's happened. It's like all the passions that I had kind of went into a deodorant, which sounds crazy. Everyone's like, you should really sell this, because I'd done a lot of different things. I'd had kids for, I think my oldest was, how old when we started?
Well, Milo was
7?
like 3.
Yeah.
So 8. Firstly.
So, I'd done so many things, and I'd had a really, really hard time committing to one. I was thinking about this the other day, like the serendipity of life, because I just couldn't commit to one thing, because I knew I couldn't have everything I wanted in one thing, because I wanted to be a musician and an artist and a writer and, make products and have my own business and have kids. But that's what I do. So, now this is like being the vessel. So I asked Pippa, I was like, I want to start like this company, and I was going to do a market collective. It was my first, that was going to be the launch. And she just came by, and it wasn't like we were.
She promised wine, and I was like, I'm there.
But at that point, we didn't know each other very well, and she wasn't married to my husband's brother yet. And she came and she hung out. It was very strange timing. It's not like she was looking for anything either. I think that it just that was the cosmic thing that happened. Like that was kind of like the, serendipitous thing, meant to be thing. And then she spent like the evening helping me label stuff, because I was like really, really analog then. Like I didn't even have a cell phone. Like when we started, I didn't have a cell phone. I was like full on analog hippie, like
still don't
unconventional. I still don't have Facebook. I do run our social media though. She does actually all the Facebook answering. Anyways, so she came, and then I was like, you should, become my partner at the end of the weekend, because she was helping me. She was really smart. She had a lot of positive energy. And then she was like, well, I'm starting nursing school tomorrow, like on Monday, but okay.
No way.
So
I love that.
And so like what it's grown to be was all the things, because we just took I took music, and I love music, so I'd like name all the scents after like songs or bands, and then have like the little copy be like clever, and like do this little, put a bird on it, of course, because you put a bird on something, you'll sell it. This is like 2011, so back then that was and then I don't know, I think both of us kind of like our dreams kind of came true through the vehicle. Like where we're sitting right now is kind of like, I always wanted to have a venue, and now we have a venue. Right. And we named a deodorant after a rock star, and he's going to come play next Thursday. It's really cool.
So full circle.
Yeah.
So like, I think a lot of people that are listening to this podcast, they sort of have dreams of doing something creative, getting paid for it, and yet maybe they aren't conventionally in their mind an entrepreneur, right? It's not a title or an identity they would take on.
Right. We don't use that word
and
either.
I like that too, right? So talk to me about how you've processed that. And I mean, you do still show up and run a business.
Yes.
So some people would be like, well, you're an entrepreneur. Like, this is the definition.
Theoretically,
don't avoid it.
Yeah, but together we make up an entrepreneur. I don't think that if we were separate, I don't think we would have done this. I think that like I would have tried to start it, but I don't know if I would have continued in the same way.
Like you wouldn't have invoiced clients.
Yeah, I probably would have just been like, you can have it. You can have it.
Like, I'm just making this. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, of course I did invoice clients. That's like a little step too far, because I know. But yeah, I think that where we ended up was kind of, but it was like 50-50.
Right.
Like why we're here.
And that's why co-founders matter so much,
right? Or you could be someone that has
yeah.
both sides to you, and you could be a real go-getter. But I think that unless you have some help, you'd probably burn out. Because like both of us feel like at times burnt out, even though there's two of us, and then we have a team behind us now. Because we just keep going. And I always ask myself, I'm like, well, why are we doing this? And I'm like, nobody knows. Like, I don't, like, what's like the ultimate, like, what is the end goal?
Right.
And I think that like from the very beginning, the first time we ever had an argument, I said, well, if this isn't going to be fun, then I'm not doing it anymore. Wow. And you were like, okay. And then there's been times where it wasn't like fun, but it's always fun. Like,
yeah. And a big point of why we do this is to have jobs, to create jobs. It started out with like jobs for family.
Yeah.
Her parents used to work for us, like about maybe half or people that we know, friends and family, and just creating something that people can come to a place where they love to work, essentially.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because oftentimes I think I've had a few guests on my podcast mention this. I've heard it in sort of the company culture space when people are trying to, tell people how to run their businesses, and there's sort of this hate on the family environment in the workplace, right? Like I've heard quote quote unquote that, you know, we're not a family because families are dysfunctional, we're a team. And it's sort of like, no, you don't come to work here to be part of this family. But you literally have like multiple family members. You are related somehow, outlaws, in-laws. There's all this
There's
combination.
no blood within the company.
There was for a little bit.
Yeah.
But
currently-
there's still relations. You have to go
Yeah.
back home, and there's birthdays celebrated together, I'm sure, and yet you come to work and have to be functional and work together. Like, can you talk to us about how you've managed that?
It's been a slow, gradual process, and I think we've just brought on people that we felt would really fit within the organization and found them a role that was suited to their personality so that they could succeed. We identified the strengths in people and realized that we needed them. Maybe we're really lucky. We've got this incredible family that,
But also it's my best friend works here now. Since we were 9, we've been like, you know, making stuff together. Like that's just kind of thing. Like she's crafty. Like we're just like, we should make this. When we were kids, we'd sit there and like kind of, just daydream about cool chocolate bars that don't exist that we should make. But now we're doing R&D together, and we're like, we're going to make these things together. And like it's just like, why not do, if you have these dreams, like why not make them come true if we have the platform? Like we did work and build it up so that it would be kind of, you know, a money-making business that you could do some social, it could become a social enterprise at the same time. So we're like more like socially minded than we ever were. And
like your own internal culture seems to leak into your community around your brand and what you're building, even in the space that we're in right now. Like it's not something you want to hold on to, you want to give it out. Is that right?
Yeah.
And how does that work? How have you thought through that?
Like, how do I answer that?
I don't know.
Tell
Consciously?
Tell us the vision of, 2012 you started and it was in the back of your head, but you're like, we need a vessel to get there and make enough money to be able to fund it.
Exactly, yeah. So that's what happened. And then we moved it into the community kitchen in my neighborhood, and we had all her nursing friends come help. And then we had, and they all loved it. And because I think everyone really just loved it because we created something that people truly needed. Like there was like a hole in the marketplace. There was no natural deodorant. People were finally realizing.
So people came and made the deodorant?
They came help us make it.
Really?
Yeah, because we needed help. I mean, we were like doing it all alone. Like she went on mat leave one time, and I hand piped 50,000 jars by myself, and I'm just like, this is like we need help.
Not one time, for 6 months.
Yeah, it was a long time. Yeah.
And that's when we brought in Brent actually as well. He was my first hire.
And he was really good, like, because he needed a job at that time, and like a lot of, people were kind of, I think, in the same place. Pippa's always known what she wants to do, but I wasn't sure how I was going to, achieve what I wanted to do for the big picture. Right. And I think that they all kind of believed in what we were doing because we were doing something that was like good for the environment, good for your body, that actually worked. We weren't just creating something to put something on a store shelf. We were just doing it genuinely to like, make the world and our community, I think, a little bit better. And so,
and the demand was there. Like the product was selling without having to have a sales team.
Yeah. So Brent, so Brent was just like the perfect candidate for it because I think he was in between doing what he wasn't sure anymore and I think that he like has really found like I'm going to speak for him sort of when I think he does find this a purposeful a purposeful place to be. And
we offered flexibility. It's a little more rigid now that we've grown to the size that we have, that you need to physically be here managing a warehouse and everything. But he worked out of a van for about a year. So he was our customer service and sales guy. So he would issue every invoice and he would answer every email in terms of customer service, and then he would actually channel through to Nej's parents and they would package the orders, and he could do that remotely.
Right.
Yeah. And then, I guess back to your question, like how did we grew from out of there, and then the next space that we built, our last space, was like, it was beautiful. We wanted to make it beautiful. The whole idea is that if you make something like beautiful, the culture will speak for itself. Or not just beautiful, but just comfortable and welcoming,
a place where people want to be.
Like, why do we have to have like cubicles, or like why does anything have to be like this? So we just made it a place that we would want to hang out and be at. And then when we were looking for a new space, because we were growing out of it and our lease was up, we were like, I think that it's time to take matters back into our own hands and start manufacturing as well. Just our new products. We have a whole bunch of ideas, and obviously we want to give, like, we have our manufacturer, we love them, they're almost like family as well, but they're at max cap with our product themselves. So they like manufacture other people's products, but ours are like really they don't have a lot of room for more. Right. So we're like, well, why don't we just like open our own facility and have people have jobs there too?
That's so rad.
That's
So
rad.
the thing that I find really interesting is also the transition into new products. And a lot of companies, in one way, whether it's a new, app that they're going to make as a branch of their current, starting out company brand or whatever, but to know as well the timing of, okay, now we want to start to do more R&D, and we also want to create a culture where people can, we can pull ideas and have people think innovatively and pitch to us what they maybe want to do. Like, do you have that? It seems like you and your best friend are doing that together.
Yeah.
But have you found with the entire company, you sort of are like sharing where your dreams are and then having them say, hey, I saw this new thing. Like, how does that work in the innovation side of things?
Well, I think like actually everyone, and I don't know if like how you would answer, but I would say a lot of people here are really, really environmentally conscious. Like that's like their passion. So our whole new model is we want to go into refill because that's the way of the future. Like we've seen how like retail's dying, but refill's alive and well. And that's a gap in the marketplace. So that's what we're going to be focusing on.
Right.
And everyone's like super behind that. So yeah, like, they're going to start their own tree planting initiative. And I mean, like all within the walls of kind of the space all these ideas have blossomed. So we try to give people, a lot of room for ideas. We have our Monday morning meetings. Does anyone have any cool ideas? Or I don't know.
Yes, for sure.
And also like, we're all talking like outside of work. So it's like one of those things where you have like this really great idea and you like text message someone and then you put someone on the thread and everyone's kind of like, yeah.
Well,
so
and also like Nesha's just naturally an innovator. So she'll be like, hey, check out this new cool product that I've made, and then we'll all try them. And then so there's sort of also like you're offering something and then it's constantly like input of like we need to have this right away. Like your face oils, it was like these are so amazing, we need to get these to the marketplace because suddenly we're all using them and we've all shifted our routines and we've adopted this program. There's other products that have fallen to the wayside because maybe they're not something that you use every single day within your routine, but I think based on the feedback of employees, it's pushed things.
And that's what we want to do is
faster.
just everything that's only like simple things that are all your routine. Like we want to educate people that they don't need to fill, they can fill one bottle with one product that does 5 things. Cause like, basically the base of your face wash, your body wash, your shampoo, everything, it's a surfactant. So, you don't need it's all marketing. It's and that's like really high waste. So so it's like really interesting, like people's sort of conventional way of thinking about things. And that was like with the deodorant, you kind of had to like be like, hey, it was a little bit of a learning curve for people to be like, oh, I can touch my armpits. Oh, that's crazy. That's like
it was a learning curve for me. I will fully attest to that. I remember when I first met you, and I was like, I don't know if I can do that. Like,
this might not be for me.
And then I think it was actually your husband that was just like, bro, I do it all the time. Like you should do
and you're gonna like it. You can get used to it.
And I kind of I try to stick like when I ran out in between, I had a leftover stick deodorant. And I was like, I don't like this.
Oh,
I don't feel as like one with myself.
Yes, and that's funny. That's funny. We are actually going to, it's kind of not hesitantly, but it's been a long time. People are asking for sticks, so we had to do something about it. So we found we actually got our own custom mold made. So it's 100% post-consumer recycled plastic on the inside, but the outside's cardboard that you can compost. Because we've seen those push-up deodorants, but they just fall apart, and we want to be a quality product as well. So they kind of go up like a lipstick tube. They're super gorgeous. We're trying to see if we could figure out a way to refill them at some point in the future. But we feel like if someone's gonna buy a stick, they're gonna buy a stick. They're gonna buy a stick, like regardless. If they're not gonna use our product because it's in a jar, if they're gonna use it because it's in a stick, we want to give them that opportunity. So it was like a really tough decision for us, but they're gorgeous and we're proud of them. But I still use my fingers, and I will always.
I will too. I mean, so what I find really interesting, and I just read this recently about you, that you are such a global company now. Like you have, 200 stores, I believe, like carrying your product in like the Arab
UAE,
countries.
The UAE,
And I culturally I've been to Israel, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert in knowing how those countries work and their cultures. And it seems like there is sort of this universal humanity. Like we all need, we all stink, we all sweat, and we all need this. Like, how have you tapped into that market, and were you surprised by that? How did you understand? Like, that's so interesting to me. I think a lot of people would be surprised that, wow, a Canadian company is really that global.
Yeah. We've always sort of, I don't know if it's not led with our hearts, but we have followed, if the path is easy, then we've gone with it. If we experience resistance.
The path of least resistance.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so if something, so what I'm saying is we've never actually actively sought out a distributor. We have waited for the relationships to come to us of somebody who's passionate about our product
Right.
and wants to take it somewhere because they already love it and they know it'll do well in their area. So that's what happened
And
to us for the
stores.
UAE. And to be honest, it was a little bit nerve-wracking in the beginning. It was a person we didn't know at all. They were starting a
Yes.
new company, and I had like a little bit of hesitation.
Yeah.
But it was all moving. It was moving forward, and this person was really eager. And then as soon as I spoke to them, you could just tell that this vibe was so strong.
Right.
So this individual person, he knows his market. He is actually
Right.
from Jordan. Dubai is where he's sort of promoting it the most.
Yeah.
But he knows the culture so well and is an honest person who cares.
Right.
So we've let him take charge in terms of knowing the stores within his demographic.
Right.
He'll offer some suggestions of tweaking of material of what
Right.
he think will sell better, or even just the scent profiles. Like his top 6 sellers are completely different than
Right.
our top 6 sellers. Things like that. So we've really worked with the people who
Yeah.
know the area the best and trusted that they know their culture,
Right.
and let them kind of roll with it.
Oh, I love that.
So
And are you finding that in your mind, like, do you want to have something like, I mean, yeah, you're doing something truly local here. Like, is that something on the path? I mean, maybe if you're following the path of least resistance, it's not there yet.
Yeah.
But to truly create something like on the ground there, like to get to know people from other countries and do an activation per se, or like, what would that look like?
That's where our store model comes in.
Okay.
So we've been like dreaming about this idea that we can do like when we make all of our new products, we're going to set them up to be refillable, like and
Right.
have like the bulk version of them. And I really feel like to be, I think we've been taken seriously as a brand just because we're on the shelves. Like it's not just like a cyberspace thing where you're not sure. And I think that it gives
Yeah.
people a lot of sort of, I don't know what
Credibility.
Credibility.
Yeah.
Like it gives the brand credibility
Yeah.
to be on the store shelves.
even though the margins are lower.
Right.
Yeah,
It's-
it just seems
the
to
model
be
we've
like
taken.
it is. People just have trust. Like that's
Yeah.
just kind of the way that they've been about it. And I feel like a lot of brands, like they have their flagship stores, and that's
Right.
that's where like the market, like that's where the marketing really comes in. People go, oh, this is legit, and like I wonder. They must be good if they have their own thing going.
Right.
So we've been spending a lot. Both of us have been spending a lot of time traveling North America, like the major cities. We have a store in the States called Curator. They're kind of like the holy grail of natural
yeah.
beauty. They're kind of the Sephora of. I don't know if they want us to say that the Sephora of natural beauty, but they're good.
They're leaders.
They're
green
leaders
beauty.
in the
Yes.
green beauty. And so every single Credo is in like a primo neighborhood. Like they're always in neighborhoods that you can tell people are like
People want to be there.
people want to be there. There's a lot of foot traffic. There's a lot of
Right.
like I was just in Chicago last weekend and I was at the Credo there, and it's like in a neighborhood where there's just like a ton of vintage, and then people
Right.
are just like really, they just seem to be like woke. Like they're coming from like places, like small towns
Right.
around like the Midwest, and then they come to this one neighborhood, and these are where the Credos are. There's one in like in Williamsburg, and they're like all in like, and one in Fillmore Street in San Francisco. So we've
Right.
scoped out all these neighborhoods, and like we've had a lot of like a good opportunity to scope them out. And so we're just thinking, if you could go and refill one bottle instead of 5, and then like have all the things you need, like you have your, the things you actually use every day.
Right.
Like not like our face oils are great and they're beautiful and awesome, but like I want people to be able to go to one place and be like,
Right.
I'm gonna buy this soap that cleans my laundry and
Yeah.
also my dishes. Oh my God, mind blown. Same
Yeah.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
right? So you can reduce the waste, but have like, and then they're all gonna be scent based. So like the whole live how you want to, smell how you want to. So there'll be like the Like a Boss section, the Superstar section, the 60-80 section.
Amazing.
And yeah, that's our plan.
Yeah,
That's our like big lofty goal.
And it's also a platform for culture, right? Where you
Yeah.
can have a place for people to come and just understand your brand
Yes.
that much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And share our message.
You set
and
the
everything.
stage.
Yeah.
And have all control of
Yeah.
here's who
Yeah.
we are.
And we would love to have people come in and do like, educational,
Right.
education pieces for, whoever's in that local community.
Yeah.
It's a place for them to come and, be
Yeah.
like, this is how you make your own I don't know, whatever, ferments. I don't know,
Yeah.
that's like how
I love it.
that's like,
And
The innovator.
yeah.
Nesh also went to this talk once that was basically saying like the current generation, the social media generation, they're actually incredibly lonely. So there's a good likelihood you're going to see people coming back to wanting to go to physical
Yeah.
retail locations. They might still even be buying online.
Yeah.
But coming to a meeting place
Yeah.
where they can connect with people,
Yeah.
connect with a brand, connect with other
Brick and mortar.
people.
Totally.
Yeah. But at the same time, a move away from consumerism, and that's where the refill, like people,
Right.
the amount of
Conscious
emails we get of
consumerism.
people
Yeah.
saying, "What can I do with my empty jar? Like
Yeah.
I'm so sad to have to recycle it,
Right.
but I already have 5 tea lights around my house."
But what's so crazy is if you go to any given drugstore, even Safeway, go to the deodorant section. It takes up a whole
Huge.
aisle.
Oh, it's
Like
crazy.
it's
Huge.
a lot. It's the number one selling health and beauty product of all the products besides
I knew.
toothpaste. Well, you need two things every day. You need
Yeah.
deodorant and toothpaste. That's
Right.
it. So I mean, really. So if you go and you look at this whole wall of non-recyclable plastics and
That goes
chemicals,
off the shelves into
Yeah.
people's homes and then into the garbage.
and then
Back
if you
into
did put it into the garbage, you're just putting it into the landfill. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do with all that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's just kind of.
Yeah, and people really are starting
And
to
obviously,
care.
people want choices when
Yeah.
it comes to their deodorant.
Right.
Like they really do, but
Yeah.
they also
Okay,
don't. They
that's
also don't
amazing.
work. I don't know what to say. Like, no, I tried. Like, I'm not gonna say which brand, but like a couple of years ago, we were camping, and I was like, I forgot my routine. I always forget my routine, which is like the worst. And I was like, either I'll make some up, or I'll just like try this like little trial size at the camping store deodorant. And my husband was like, "You stink, like so bad."
And this is like the
This
chemical
is like the
stuff.
chemical,
Right.
like the main,
Yeah, the stuff
'Cause
that's
it-
supposed to stop it.
Yeah.
it's like my,
Yeah.
my DNA is like no. It's
Yeah,
just-
you
Yes,
did.
sweat it out.
it's like yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I want to get a little bit more granular on the culture, like the formal culture side of things, because as you said, you've grown your team. Can you tell us a little bit more, especially like because it wasn't like you guys came from being executives at another company and had done all the like HR stuff and the knowing how to hire. Like you probably invented a lot of that yourselves, right? Just like figuring it out.
Yeah.
Let's
Yes.
try
Well,
and
yes.
trial and error. And like, can you tell
Yeah.
us about how that's worked for you? Maybe some mistakes in hiring or in doing like interviews or all that kind of stuff. I'd love you to share a bit of your story. You have like also a new person that started at your team that's like probably like she's deaf, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like how amazing that you've built an environment where that person can thrive and that, comes with its own set of different rules that you have to write or figure out. Like, can you tell us about how you've navigated the hiring journey?
Oh man, we've had a lot of people try to help us with that lately.
Okay.
Yes.
And define our culture, and this is all actually something. Sorry, I'm gonna let.
No,
you
no, you go.
talk
No,
now.
no, you go.
No, it's just something that like we have always considered, but not on such a
We've never written it down.
because we were just like it just is culture. It's just
Sure.
there, but you can define it or it can happen by default.
Yep.
Is what we've heard and learned.
Right.
But I'm honestly I have this belief that if you create the space, that's your first step. Like if
Yep.
A place where people want to be.
a place where people want
Right.
to be and like that, we'd like order Spud every week and everyone has healthy snacks and they have like, unlimited whatever. They're like, just like, we just do these things that like, if I worked at a company, I go, what would I want it to be like?
Right.
How would I want, like, I have a hard time like being like, do this. I need you to do this. I'm just like, I want to make sure the
Yeah.
person is like comfortable and happy and like everything's fed their soul, their bodies, and then they're just like, yeah, I'll do that. Cause I'm like,
Right.
I'm up for the challenge right now because I'm feeling like I'm cared for. So
And we've basically exhausted, like as much as we can, all the family members that we think would be a good fit that are interested.
Yeah.
A lot of friends. We've only just recently hired a few people that aren't from within our network, because we find it really hard to fully know a person and know if
Right.
they're going to fit the culture or not. Because from one interview, it's very difficult to fully know. And
Definitely.
so we've kind of just seen what's presented itself, the people that have come that have expressed interest and kind of gone down that path. And
Right.
we've had some scenarios where we've done interviews and like it hasn't worked out. The person
Right.
turns out to be a completely different type of person than we thought that they were going
Sure.
to be.
but there also has been times where you did have an interview, for instance, one person, I'm not going to say who, but
Yeah.
in the interview, she came across as a certain way. I wasn't there. The
Yeah.
person came across. And then we had a social time with this person that
Okay.
they, and they were like, oh my God, this person is so amazing. So you have to like take into consideration that someone's going to be
Yeah.
nervous.
Totally.
And like, you might not get their true self. So
Yeah.
it's a really difficult thing to navigate. But I also think we're at this time in our lives that like, our friends are all kind of on second careers.
Yeah. So a lot of
There's a
people
lot
out there
of
we know.
a lot of people that have like, you know, home with their kids, and now they're like, you know, it's going to be really hard for me to get a decent job that, you know, I'm worthy of because I've been away from the workforce so long. And we're like, oh, well, we know you've got really great skills. So how about you come in here and we'll give you a chance. Okay. That's kind of like, it's great.
Yeah.
There's, if you look around you, there's so many resources. Like my husband's best friend worked for my husband, and he was not suited for that. My husband does like really hard laborious stuff. And he comes to me at a party. He's like, listen, I just don't want to do this anymore. Can I work for you? And I was like, yeah, I actually think I know the perfect place for you to be in the company because I've known him for like forever. And, you know, I think that everyone was better off because of it. Like my husband was like, I'm just that, you know, I don't want someone working for me that doesn't love it and is not in the right spot. And like, I think that if you really look and you dig, you're going to find those people.
And the key is to find the right position for that.
And people approach us too, right? So it's just like with the stores, like we're not going to, if I approach a store and I'm like, you're such a cool store and I do, it's really good. And like, and they're always like, why would I take your word for it? You know, you have to discover it yourself to like believe in something, I think. And so we've had a lot of people reach out. So that's good too.
Yeah. So yeah, we have tried to go after the people that we know that think would be a good fit within the organization. Because we're like, there are some positions we're looking to fill, and
but you know what, I found a person through a friend, and this is the same friend that has introduced me to someone else I work with every single day, and you know,
so we're sort of non-traditional in that.
I love that.
Like really.
I think we're finding out that there isn't a right way.
No.
Right?
And I think that like keeping your ear to the ground and being part of the community for all these years has really helped as well. I think it's it does show that we have been part of the community and you know, said yes to things that we think matter.
And like fundamentally the model we're kind of following is that as long as you do fit the culture, that it's a group of people who you know would want to hang out together, you can teach them the skills for any of the positions. Right? Like, and that's the whole principle is as long as you fit in the culture, you can teach that person what to do.
And it seemed like you had that anchor of like planet awareness. Like you guys, I was just interviewing somebody and they were like, everybody at our company loves basketball. And we sort of work in that space, but like not really. And it's almost like that's yours. Like you're like, everyone loves the planet here.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people that don't love the planet, so they shouldn't work here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And if you have that, you can learn the skills.
That should be on our interview like list.
Yeah.
Do you love the planet or not love the planet? I don't know.
You have to get around it another way to trick people a little bit so that it's not like, yes, I love the planet.
Yeah.
Do you like putting garbage into the recycling bin? I don't know.
I love that. That's amazing. So I want to finish here where say I'm sitting across from you and I'm wanting to start a business in an industry that I'm not like fully in yet. I've never owned a business before, but I'm like, I want to build a global brand that changes the world like you guys have done. What's the biggest thing that you've looked back on, you know, each of you individually or together, like that you're like, okay, this is what you need to make sure you do because we didn't figure that out soon enough? That's a tough one, but I'm just curious.
I don't think there's any like one specific thing, but you just need to do it and do something about what you want to do. Just start, dive in. It's not going to be perfect the first time you do it, but you just need to start instead of planning.
And instead of always learning about like, oh, it's important to go to a network and like, but like if you're always going to these events where you're learning how to run a business, how are you going to have time to run the business? Right? It's true. Like sometimes you just have to put your head down and do your own thing. And then, you know, and then reach out for support as well at the same time. It's a balance. You can't just be doing one thing or the other. It has to be like, and also I feel like if you're like, I want to start a business and I want to change the world, and you know, that's really, really, that's a nice place to be coming from. But if you just want to like make something out of thin air, and like if you want to have a business and then just like make something up
because you want
and you have this product all of a sudden, I don't know if that's, I think that you have to have something and an idea that you know that you would put all of your money into and want to buy yourself
Right.
and repeat buy, or like regardless if it's a social thing or a,
Right.
a CPG, consumer packaged good, it has to be something that you would get behind 100% and you would need
Right.
in your life. Because if you don't need it, why would anyone else need it? You need, if you need it, that's when you know it's a good idea.
Well, I need routine, and I use it every day. I heard that, so another one of my routines is that like wine is part of my life. I heard that like there was mumblings of like routine wine.
Someone was talking about this yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Arlene Dickinson was asking my hairdresser, like we share hairdresser. She's like, are the girls still doing their wine? And then someone else at the salon was like, are you doing wine? I heard Arlene say
This is
you're
how
doing wine.
rumors start.
Arlene Dickinson has started rumors about you. You know you're a big deal, Wang.
It's so funny, but she started her own wine.
Right.
Yeah, and so she told us that's a grind. Like it's a hard thing. It's like, but what we would want to do with the wine, it's just like, it's just for fun also. It's for brand recognition.
Exposure.
It's for using organic grapes from the Okanagan and
Yes.
trying to make something special and like making
Something
it part of
we
your
like.
routine, something we like.
Right.
And just like making it to, if it's not for like, we're not expecting to sell like 1 billion bottles of wine, but like we have this idea because like the whole thing is like a boss wine, the curator wine, you know, the like superstar wine,
Come on.
and
Yeah.
cat lady wine. I mean, it's going to be white, the cat lady, the rosé is going to be the sweet Jane, you know.
Yeah.
So we like that's
But it's
also
part
like,
of people's routines.
Well, and we also learned that within Calgary, the food industry, there's a lot of routine users within the food industry.
Yeah.
So there's a big connection about people who are already using the product
Right.
that would have another engagement point with our brand.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
kind of builds that community and connection.
But we
to the brand.
did almost go down that road. We had a meeting in the Okanagan. We ended up not going because we were like, no, you know what? We can't tie our money up into that right now. Bigger things are coming right now for us. And then we walked into this space.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's why it didn't happen.
It's the
I
right
think
timing.
it could happen. And
Yeah.
who knows?
Probably in the next year.
If you're a winemaker out there, give us a call.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll
Yeah.
end it there. Thank you guys
Okay.
so much for being with me today on the Culturing Podcast. You're incredible.
Thanks
Seriously.
for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So nice.